YouTube, it's me. Okay, so I'm driving home from school, yada yada. I'm gonna tell you something that happened like a few days ago. I wasn't speaking loud enough, by the way. Alright, so a few days ago I got on YouTube and I saw like a few people had put up something that said Coney, right? I didn't give any much thought, any paying attention at all at that. I didn't even like do anything about it. I didn't click on anything. But then I went on to YouTube and I saw that Who is Sugar had a video about the guy Coney. So I thought, okay, let me see what this is all about, right? So I watched the video and I was immediately moved. And I was moved to the point where, even though I don't have like much money, but I went ahead and I bought my action kit, my shirt, because I felt like it's a worthy cause and deserving of my support. That was the end of it. I posted one video to it on my wall. I wasn't gonna like get really super active about it or anything. However, I felt like, it was important and it was a good thing to support. I have been defending myself for this now for the last 2 days. From all kinds of different reasons of why, I'm just being a sheeple or I'm just jumping on a bandwagon. First of all, I'd like to say that I have no illusions in thinking that the video wasn't intentionally emotionally provocative. Like I understand that they did that on purpose, and I understand that the reason it's getting so big is because of social media and slacktivism, and because of the part of celebrities using their people power to help things move along for this cause. I have no problems with that. I believe in the freedom of speech. That's their right. That's if it takes marketing and social psychology to make something happen, I believe that it's within the right of whatever group, whether it be something like UNICEF or whether it be something like the ASPCA, PETA, whatever. I still, as a consumer, have a choice on what I decide to support monetarily, emotionally, and even actively with what I do. So that's my first thing, whether or not, I fell for a well-produced video, to me doesn't really matter, because first of all, it's not like I wasn't completely aware of these kinds of atrocities, not just in Uganda, but in neighboring countries there, and also in Sudan, and all kinds of, we're always hearing about some problem, like everywhere you look in Africa and South America and parts of Asia. I mean, some shit is going down, and they're also competing with all these other advocacy groups for all kinds of other issues. So when Children's International does, this for this particular issue, I'm not going to come down on them just because, that they're using high production value to get a point across. I think that's within their right. So I'll move on from that. And also, then I get told that, like, well, you didn't know about this, you didn't really care so much about it, a few weeks ago. I'm like, well, I didn't have, first of all, I didn't really even have like a particular person to even think about. It was this generic idea of, child soldiers somewhere over in Africa. I think that they did an excellent job of personalizing the problem, and they did it for a reason, to get people like me in the West, who are completely desensitized to what's happening in the world. I also don't think that someone else is like, well, what about the fact that, all the American and European journalists are getting more credit for this than the actual African journalist? Yeah, I don't really care about who owns the narrative of the story. I think the story is important enough to where if I'm moved by it, I should have every right to, you know, support a cause. And I feel like I shouldn't have to explain myself. Then I got into an argument with my friend Gary today, and we're always arguing. He's like super libertarian, and I'm like half libertarian. Maybe I'm just like a closet liberal who thinks everyone should be able to smoke pot and shoot guns. Maybe, I don't know. Um, maybe unlikely actually. Now I'm thinking about it because there's a lot. No. Anyways, but moving on from that, he was just addressing another fact that there are other issues. He showed me this. He didn't show it to me. Another lady showed a video of this one girl who's African saying that, last time she went to go visit her parents' home country, they didn't really have so much problem with the Kony people. They had problems with Al Qaeda, and she felt like all this attention is coming to Kony when he did the worst of his stuff like 10 years ago. I'm like, okay, well, that's all right, that he's maybe not having like the big stronghold that he has right now, but I mean, he's still kind of a douchebag, right? Like, I mean, just because he's not in main power right now doesn't mean that he shouldn't be taken to justice. I mean, it's kind of like underscoring the fact that he's sort of not able to really be as out and open as he would like. He's been on the freaking Hogs list, like top list of assholes to take out, not take out, but to prosecute for crimes against humanity for like the last 10 years. So I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like, well, he hasn't really done the worst things in the last few years. I'm like, it doesn't matter. He still did them. It's still fucked up. He should still get a punishment for it. If someone had killed my child and they didn't catch the killer until 20 years later, am I gonna be like, well, so much past has gone down and he hasn't killed anyone since? No, I'm gonna be like, yeah, get that bastard. No, fuck his ass. I don't give a fuck. I don't believe in term limits on human rights. Well, not term limits. What am I thinking of? Statute of limitations. Yeah, there are no statute of limitations on human rights, in my opinion. That's just the way I feel about that. What else am I going to say? And someone else brought this up, is that well, there's all these other problems that are bigger and more important, and what about this and what about that? And I'm like, why does someone have to pick one issue over another? Like, why does there have to be capitalism within advocacy? It's like no one would ever tell someone, like, if I went and I adopted like a little kid, right? And let's say I went to the ghetto, I adopted like a black kid, a boy black kid who was already 4 or 5 years old, like the kind that's really hard to adopt. Do you think anyone would be like, well, I mean, that's good and all, but what about all the millions of other children who won't get adopted around the world? You didn't do anything to help them. I mean, that's just that's fucking moral jacking. Like, people like kind of like mommy jacking. And if you don't know what mommy jacking is, that's when, let's say I put something on my wall, like, oh, Roderick, he made honors roll, I got a letter from school, and the next lady will be like, oh, that's awesome, my host's son, made all straight A's and he's gonna go to Washington D.C. to do this. That's mommy jacking, goddammit. And when people do that, when charity, that's moral jacking. I don't know, I'm gonna make up a word for it. I'm thinking of it. When I think of it, I'll let you know. But yeah, so that's my thing. I don't think that there's any shame in, quote unquote, falling for the hype of advocating for a cause that you believe is worthwhile. And I don't think I should have to explain myself. I don't think anyone should have to explain myself. When I have friends who are really, really concerned and compassionate about the plight of animals in this country, even though I'm not a vegetarian, I still respect their right to feel that way. Like, they're absolutely 100% within their freedoms as people, let alone as Americans, to believe in what they want to believe. you know, and it kind of irritates me when I see people and be like, I can't believe, you know, she's doing all this stuff for animals when there are people suffering and this and that. I'm like, I'm a consumer. I can choose what I want, you know, like, so yeah. So there, I'm just saying it. I think some of us need to step off of our high horses. Okay, bye.